All right, guys, it is midnight and we are coming to you live here in the LS Nasty shop. And as you guys can see from the last video, some things have changed. We are 100% transparent over here. We hide no secrets. And this is going to be an informational video on why you shouldn't buy a complete motor off of the internet. That was used, that was fresh. Honestly, not gonna lie, this is like the third time this has happened to us here. Thankfully, I'm not a small block Ford fan, so hasn't happened to me with a small block Ford, but we have got some motors that are supposed to be fresh. I will say, Ben, that first dart motor we got was brand new. Yeah. That thing was good.
The guy that owns Tick, Jonathan,
yeah,
he put that motor together,
and it was good.
The guy that sold this to us was like, I haven't touched it since I picked it up from him, and that motor was great.
Yep.
And it was good to us.
Yep.
And
we started popping head gaskets left and right because we ran all the boost.
That was on us.
Yep.
You know,
so
we put it in there, it cranked right up, had no issues with it. And he stood behind his word.
Don't buy used engines.
Yeah, don't buy. So this was a deal where it was like race engine, fresh. You guys saw the DeSoma valve covers. After looking at this, I mean, after looking at like a few things, it's pretty easy to say it's not a DeSoma motor. It had DeSoma valve covers on it. The valve covers are probably the only thing that they built on this.
It could have been originally,
but in its current state, it's not.
Yeah.
So
definitely not refreshed.
What happened was we had it in the car. We were getting it ready. We were actually going to go and roll it on the dyno to make sure everything was working, and we had an oil pressure issue, which was immediately followed up by a terrible noise.
Valve seat issue,
which we had. There was multiple issues that literally happened all at once. We probably had about, I'd say, 2 to 3 minutes of runtime on it. You guys saw the little clip that I filmed for startup, and it did sound good there, but I mean, it was literally beating itself apart as we were running it. So let's start off with the, where do you want to start? You want to start off?
Oil pressure issue. We saw some stuff in the clear view like we talked about earlier, and then
that was right off the bat.
Yeah. When we cranked it back up, we heard a noise, shut it off immediately. That's why you see it is damaged, but this is just very, very little runtime. You know, probably like just maybe no more than a couple seconds of runtime. So we decided to pull it apart, and then upon further inspection, found that the heads had definitely been damaged before and repaired. And
repaired to a very, very low standard.
Yeah, it's just, you know, like around the valve seat area, it's been welded. There's a lot of porosity where they welded it, so you know, the valve seat, it's where it's pressed into the head, it could easily fall out. You know, that's exactly what happened.
It more than likely is kind of one of the deals where it's like, hey, you know, take it to an engine builder. They're like, hey man, a lot of the stuff needs,
it's messed up, and then you just go, well, just put it back together as best you can so I can sell it, and then
this is what happens. So this is what you get from buying a motor off the internet. What's the setup on it? What's the setup? I never spoke about the setup of the heads and the block and all that stuff.
BD heads, or Neil heads, and it's supposed to be 13-1 compression, but obviously that's not the case because they have a pretty
severe
dish.
Yeah, it's a severe dish.
I'm not sure about the crank. I think
it's a Bryant crank.
Bryant crank, aluminum rod.
It is a Bryant crank. We can confirm.
Yeah, for sure.
Bryant crank, GRP rod. So the bottom end rotating assembly stuff, not bad, but clearly not a 13-1 compression motor. Had Jessel rock arms on there, had some good push rods in it.
Trash though.
Yeah,
but
we can go check the heads out if you want.
And this is all stuff that, like, unless you tear the motor apart, you're not going to be able to see and to know, because it is just.
See all the bronze holes.
So this is the hole that had a valve seat drop.
Yep. So this one's the one the valve seat drop, and then all the valve seat material. And then you can see on the other cylinder head, there was also at one point some damage. And then around all of the exhaust ports, you can see where they've been welded and tried to been repaired. This one has a crack through the spark plug. So these heads were pretty much just clapped out.
Look at the holes here.
Yeah, look at the porosity.
Look at the.
Yeah.
I mean, that right there, like, welding heads on a race engine, I'd say it's not an uncommon thing. You damage a head, you weld it, but having it welded back like that, I mean, that's not even, you can't run that. Like that head.
And if you also look, these heads have been ported to the point where they've had to epoxy them because they've came through the port. So to run these on a boosted application, you know, it's not really an ideal setup. So there's, I mean, the lifters, they have some wear on them. The only thing I say is if you're going to buy a used race engine off the internet, or even a fresh one, if somebody says, hey, it's been freshened up, I would suggest, even if it's a complete engine, be like, hey, we're going to pull the heads off of it, because if you pull the heads off, you can inspect the cylinder heads, you can inspect the piston, you can inspect the cylinders, you can really tell if it's, you know, been just repaired to try to sell it, or if it's actually been, you know, put back together to where you can run it. So that'll prevent any kind of issues in the future.
Yeah, and like, I'm not on here to blast anyone or like talk shit about anyone or down anyone. I do want to make it very clear that like this is not a DeSoma motor. Like this is not.
It could have been at one point,
but I'm saying like as it sat in that car, this wasn't like a fresh from the like.
No,
when we say it's a T-cam motor, like it's not like the same as like the T-cam motor I have sitting over there. It's not the same thing.
No, it's DeSoma could originally built this engine, but after it was damaged like this, DeSoma would never have. Well, I would hope so. They would never put it back together with all this damage to the cylinder head. If you take the cylinder head to any competent engine builder, they're going to say, hey, this thing's damaged to the point where they just need to be replaced. At one point, I think the engine probably had a catastrophic failure, and they just tried to do whatever they could to get it back together.
It blows my mind how terrible that is right there.
Yeah,
I mean, that's just like...
It can be repaired, but it needs to be repaired correctly, and this is definitely not, you know, the way it should be done. So.
And this here with the valve seat issue, I mean, that one...
That head would be,
It's smoked.
Yeah,
it's smoked.
Like, it gets to a point with this stuff where it's not worth your time or money to repair. It's worth buying another set of heads. But the issue with the heads, and I'll say this, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the issue with like, I guess at any level, when you get to like this extreme, you're looking at different exhaust ports, your rocker arm, everything is set up specifically to this head. Your turbo kit is kind of fabricated to this head.
You're married to it once you do something like that. Some of the LS stuff, you know, it's pretty modular, so you can run different cylinder heads, different intakes and everything, and it's gonna all bolt in. But with small block Ford stuff, small block Chevy stuff, big block Chevy, you know, all those, they're not as modular. So going from like this head to an SC1 or to a high port, everything changes. The intake changes, the exhaust changes. So unless we went with a set of Neil heads, you'd be having to change your whole entire hot set.
Look at that. Look at just those craters.
Yeah.
I mean, they literally must have had to weld up like almost the entire chamber.
Yeah, this one they didn't even attempt to
That's
weld.
what I'm saying. Like this, that shit's been there for a minute.
Yeah. So, and the cracking around the.
Dude, look at how messed up the threads are in the spark plug holes.
Yeah.
All of them. It's not just that one. Look at that. They're all fucked up.
Let me tell you something else. Once it's on the internet, it doesn't go away. And here's the for sale ad.
What's the for sale ad?
420 small block Ford, built by DeSoma Racing Engines.
So this guy's just throwing them under the
Ford
bus.
Motorsports SVO 4-bolt block on all 5 casts. We know that. Bryant billet knife edge crank, GRP rods, the bolts, diamond turbo pistons, 55mm cam, Brodix Neal BF 202 heads, valve spring retainers, locks, all new.
All new.
Valves,
all new.
Springs. I don't know about y'all, but does that look like a brand new valve to y'all?
Dude, look at this. Is this head? I mean, this is not.
Oh, I ain't done.
It's definitely been run on gasoline.
Aluminum oil pan, Jessel belt drive, stainless turbo headers, Wilson injector rails, MSD distributor flex plate. Best of the best. No expense spared. Motor is new. Only thing that was used was the block and head casting and intake.
I can confirm 100% that the head casting was used before. Like that is, there's no questions asked. He hit the nail. He hit the nail on the head with that.
Look, we're not going to say their name, but you can go on Turbo Bullet and look up 420 small block Ford DeSoma engine.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I hate that they're saying it's a DeSoma motor because
They're just throwing him under the bus.
yeah.
He's probably got nothing to do with it.
What hurts is we know people. Kevin is literally like family with them.
Yeah,
I
I
know
mean,
people up there at DeSoma.
no, I mean, it really. No, I would say, regardless of who it is, I don't want to keep saying their name, but like, regardless of any engine builder who's building race engines that go fast, they're not doing this.
No.
This is some backyard bullshit. This is some. This is some.
all the way to the
This is some middle of the mall shit right here.
If you see any of the cars that have Anthony's banner across,
They're rocket ships.
Not anything like this.
They're a nice piece for sure. So this is some, like I said, some middle of the mall shit. This
Turbo
is
bullet
unfortunately when you're racing and you're
gasket has been leaking right there too.
Yeah.
and you're in this I mean, this performance. I mean, listen, I buy and sell a bunch of stuff. I sell entire cars. And one thing I will say, when I sell a car on Turbo Bolt, like the Booster Rooster, when that thing left here, the last thing we did was we made a 540 pass, put time slip in the car, and put it on a trailer, and that was gone. The Brown Sugar, right before we made our last pass, or right before we sold it, made a pass, it went like a mid-5, and it was gone. So we don't sell any bullshit.
Well, outline, if things have issues, we outline them and make people aware, like, hey, but we didn't get to it yet, but you know, you might want to check this out.
We're not saying fresh, new. I mean, that is right there. That is a blatant lie. That is fraud. That is some bullshit. So
unfortunately, I guarantee you, anybody that's into racing, they have
encountered something similar. They
have, their friends have. You know, the engine's fresh, transmission's fresh, it's got good parts, it doesn't. So like I said, if you're going to buy a complete engine from somebody, the best thing to do is just say, hey, I need you to pull the pan off of it, and we're going to pull the heads off of it. And, you know, all you're out is a set of head gaskets. You know, if you want to replace the head studs, you can, but really it's just the head gaskets, and that way you can tell, like, if you pull these off and go, well, shit, this thing is clapped out, you're not going to buy it, and you're going to save yourself a lot of money and a lot of headache. Sucks.
Use our mistake,
teaching tool.
Yeah, to learn from this.
Yeah.
Luckily, we have one of the best engine builders in the world on our side, Kevin Mullins, TCAM Performance, and unfortunately, some of this stuff looks like it's better off not being used again.
We're gonna add it to our room.
So we're gonna need to get a shipping container for my tore up shit. I'll consider this mine now. You know, I think Chris will let me have these heads.
Got a table, make some lamps.
Dude, exactly.
Make some
we have
lamps.
a full casting couch along with blocks for your feet, freaking lamps.
I mean, we'll have it all. So it's going to be back to the drawing board. Unfortunately, we'll not be taking the Bad Apple down to FL2K. Might take the Vet down to FL2K. We're definitely going to be down there with 2 cars. But unfortunately, back to the drawing board. We'll get up with Kevin at TCAM.
But tomorrow we will be at Streetcar Takeover with Charlie Murphy.
Yeah, so we'll be out there
We're just put Matt in it.
absolutely tearing the track up. We're going to be tearing the... I mean, how fast are we going to go?
5s.
Definitely. At least 5s.
At least 5s.
We're going 5 something.
590 or better.
We're going 5 something, and then I'm going to give this thing away. So be on the lookout. 450.
590 or below.
George, if this goes a 450, I'm going to give it to you. All right? So we'll be out there with that, and we'll be having some fun. So unfortunately, for those of you guys, I was really excited. We just did a startup video with the Bad Apple. I know you guys love the Bad Apple, but I will tell you this. When it comes back out, it is going to be an absolute unit. It's going to be a mean son of a gun, and it's definitely going to go faster on the new motor than that motor would have ever taken us. Because if we went out there and run that thing,
if it made it wouldn't have made it to the track. It would have made it to the dyno. You know, because it was.
We're about to put it on.
We're about
to put it on the rollers just to make sure everything worked mechanically.
5 minutes of run time. You know, some startup, getting idle, and fueling. You know, correct enough to where you could get it on the dyno. And initially, it sounded good. It was revving. Everything was fine. And then
when we filmed the startup video, that thing was running smooth.
Oh, it was great. No problems at all. And then, you know, it cranked it up one time, and immediately when we cranked it up, we heard a noise, shut it off, and you know, judging, you can see it didn't run very long. You know, probably less than a second.
That thing was, when it got put together, it knew wherever it was going. It was essentially a hand grenade.
Yep. So tomorrow we also put some new tires on.
Oh yeah. We put pro brackets on there.
Looking beefy.
Yeah, I mean we're looking good. I just drove it on the street a little bit. I mean it's look at that thing. It's definitely a nice unit right now. I mean this thing right here is ready to peel some muffin caps straight back blue, and I can't wait. You haven't been around enough to know the clause, but the formal handshake of receiving this if you win is you have to make a pass in it.
Oh yes.
So it's not like, oh, here's your car. It's like we're gonna put a tune-up in there and be like, all right.
Nope. Gotta go down the track.
Gotta go down the track, and then it's yours. So imagine if like
safety equipment not included.
No, I'll dress you out in something. Whether if you're real big, if I just have to lay it over you like a blanket, I mean you'll have some sort of protection. It might not work well, but you'll have it. Imagine someone wins it and they just like let off the brake and let off the gas and just like roll through at 14. They're like, all right, did my pass, put it on the trailer.
Yep, thanks.
You know. So that's gonna wrap today's video. Unfortunately, Bad Apple will be delayed a little bit, but don't worry, we have plenty of racing action coming up. We got a bunch of badass stuff. Maybe tomorrow morning we'll talk about some of the upgrades we've done to the Black Sheep. And yeah, we're looking to go fast here in a little bit. Yep. But not with the Bad Apple.
Not anytime soon.
No, unfortunately not.
You got some small block Ford stuff? New.
Yeah, if someone has a used 9.5 deck motor, let me know. I'm with the market.
Not
I want it. Hey, I want it fresh. Never run.
not new, but
And
new.
sellers, when you see this, sell us your inline motor.
No,
please.
can't do that. That inline motor has been so fast.
We need it though.
It's
Just
been,
tomorrow.
It's been solid 470s.
All right. Well, that's exactly what we're looking to do. Buy some merch too. Also, we got a bunch of new shirts, hoodies, socks, face masks, hats, shirts, hoodies, socks, face masks, hats, more hats.
Socks.
Socks. Did I say
Coming soon?
socks? We got socks.
Anybody-
If you understand, you know.